and welcome to my channel. I have an unboxing of the Pink and Main October 2021 kit. This one is all about rainbows, and as such, I'm not exactly sure when I'll be crafting with it because generally I think of rainbows as more of a summertime card making theme, but I didn't want to pass up on this kit because it's got some cool elements that I thought were a little bit unique to anything that I've got in my stash. And also, I just realized these project bags that come in the kit, they're smaller than they used to be. I'm not sure when that happened, but I was comparing this to another project bag that I happened to pull out from like a way older kit, and the older kits used to be able to fit a sheet of 8.5 by 11, so US letter size. These new project bags will not fit a full sheet of paper, so a little bit of a bummer actually. I hope maybe they'll go back to the larger size, but I don't know that will happen. Okay, so since I've already got them here, let me show you the sheets of cardstock that we do get, as well as the little flare pin that I got in my kit. So we have our 2 sheets of ice rink, and I really love their ice rink cardstock. It's 110 pound, plenty thick for card bases. I love anything over 100 pound, and it's also really super smooth too, so nice to stamp and color on as well. And so often I'll actually save these for when I'm making completely flat cards and I'm stamping and coloring directly onto the card base, because these are great for that. Then, something a little bit unusual, because usually we get solid color cardstock, but look at this. 5 sheets of glitter paper. All that sparkle and shine. And this is really nice, well encapsulated, and it's still got a lot of that texture too. Sometimes I've got in my stash anyhow, some glitter card that is it's so well encapsulated that it's really smooth, but I kind of like that texture. It just has a different kind of experience for the card recipient. So we get that, gorgeous. Then we get usually we get a packet of sequins and some enamel glitter dots. So again, we have our enamel glitter dots, which I'm a little precious about these because they're just so pretty, and they are dimensional, but they're still rather flat, so they ship really well. The sequin mix that we get, they still call it on the information postcard a sequin mix, but this is more to me like sort of mirror confetti. They're circular, they're flat, they don't have, the hole in the center that sequins normally have, and they have a little bit of that mirror shine to them. So really pretty, especially with so much other color potentially going on with a rainbow themed card. Having something a little bit more in your neutral tone is going to really balance out the design really well. So I'm glad that they thought about that for us. So that's a really nice element to have. And then something that is a little bit also unique to this kit is we get 2 sheets of 6x6 sort of foil cardstock, and they are pretty nice thickness. We get 1 sheet in silver, 1 sheet in gold. So there's a lot of glitz and glam with this kit, which is amazing. And then the other thing, there's so many things that are unique about this kit. That's why I just couldn't pass it up. The 6x6 paper pad is called Watercolor Rainbow. And the neat thing about this is that it's all based on a watercolor background. And that's a little bit different from the paper pads in the previous kits that I've purchased anyhow. And I've always appreciated the amount of diversity and kind of variability between their papers, because they usually showcase a different selection of, your more monochromatic textural patterns versus your printed patterns with various graphics of different sizes even. So you have large scale graphics, small scale graphics, monochromatic versus multicolored. It's a really good mix. And that way, when you're mixing and matching your papers, a lot of times you don't want to use multiple papers that sort of have that same scale of print. And so it's really awesome, the paper pads that they put together every month. But this month's is a little bit different, and in a good way, because we have essentially, I would class it as, two different classes of pattern papers. One that have a pattern or an image overlaid on top of a watercolor panel. And that's the first set that I'll show. And you get this stripy pattern. And the backgrounds are unique. So I'm showing you all the unique designs in the kit. And these are double-sided. So you can use, there's exactly two of each sheet. And that means that you'll be able to use all of the unique patterns if you'd like, or if there's one in particular that you really love, then you'll have two of that you can use. And then moving on to this more circular pattern that's overlaid on top of a watercolor panel, and then a floral pattern. So again, they've given us a lot of different variations. We've got some geometrics and we have some florals, but all on top of a base of watercolor. Then the other side, or the other half, you can consider of your pattern paper, because again, these are all double-sided, so you can choose either one that has the additional overlays, or you can flip to the other side and you'll have just the watercolor backgrounds. So again, all unique designs is what I'm showing here. And one of the things that I really was drawn to was that I'm really not very good at creating this sort of spontaneous watercolor look. If I had to kind of out of my head create it from scratch, I have a hard time picking the right colors, putting them in the right combinations and whatnot. But when I see something, then I can use that as a spark of inspiration, and then not necessarily try to recreate the exact same thing, but at least I have some design direction to work from as a starting point. Because in my head, I would never be able to just know to use these colors and try it out in this configuration. And the nice thing about creating panels like these is that it's going to be different every time. So whatever you create is just whatever in the moment happens, which is fantastic and makes every panel unique. But I just love that to have these as just a starting point, so that I can just take from it some inspiration and then try some different techniques with my various sprays. Like I do have Distress Oxide sprays, I've got shimmer powders, I've got watercolors as well. So I think it'll be fun to use these as is for just quick background panels, but also as inspiration to create some panels myself. So then this kit has a lot of stash building elements as well, which has become rather standard for the Pink and Main kits, and one of the reasons why I've started to pick these up. So the first is a stencil, and so you get a lot of different stencil areas that you can stencil either a medium through, or use a blending brush and ink through it. And the main thing is you have the 5 arches to build up your rainbow, but then you've got some supporting imagery as well. So we've got clouds, some flowers, some hearts, raindrops, and even little stars. So this is going to be great to use by itself, or actually in conjunction with some of the other things that we get. So then the other thing that comes in the kit is a 6x6 embossing folder, which is awesome because I'm really taking every opportunity to add like an embossed panel to my cards. I just think even if it's just a white panel onto a white card base, I think just that extra little bit of texture really adds a lot to a card. And so I've really started to enjoy embossing folders, and in particular, I really like having the 6x6 or the 5x7 size embossing folders because I typically make US A2 size cards, which is 4.5 by 5.5. However, I do sometimes make a 6x6 or a 5x7, and by having a larger embossing folder of those sizes, I can still emboss a smaller US A2 size panel. So that gives me the option to use it on both size cards. And this pattern in particular, you could see a lot of different things out of this. So you could see little rainbows. You could see sort of a more Art Deco look in this. Maybe flip it this way and you could kind of see the little mermaid scale pattern. So, you know, there's a lot of different embossing folders that I've seen that are kind of similar to this, and it's kind of nice to have one in my stash now because it's, you know, really versatile and just a nice way to add a little bit of texture to your projects. Then we get, as is standard now it seems, stamps and coordinating dies to die cut. So this is all about rainbows, but look how unique these rainbow arches are. So that's one of the reasons why I did want to keep this kit, even though I don't have an immediate project I can think of to use it for. But what's really cool is instead of your solid color sort of rainbow arches, you have these really neat patterns, and we get a couple of options I think in each of the sizes, so that's really nice. And we have different things like floral elements or kind of leaves, like these leaf patterns. We get some kind of sketchy line art. And then here we have some stars and like a dotty pattern and a line pattern. What's really cool though is that we do get dies that will coordinate, and you can always build up your rainbow using just the dies if you wanted. And in die format, we have 5 different size arches, which correlates to the 5 different size stencil patterns that we have. But one of the neat things is that if you wanted to, let's say, have a solid color, let's say you want to use this one with just the lines, and you wanted to put a solid color behind that and then maybe ink the lines in a different color over that. Well, there is actually a stencil opening that lines up perfectly. So you could stencil your solid color down first, and then you can ink up your stamp in a different color and ink right in onto that solid arch. So there's kind of really cool ways of mixing and matching and combining these different elements to build up your rainbow and create different looks. So between the stencil, the stamp, and the dies, you can really go to town on making a variety of different and rather unique rainbows. So I just thought that was really cool. And of course, we also have other little stamps that kind of match back to what we have in the stencil as well. So we've got this sort of solid flower, and the stencil looks like it lines up completely with that, as well as the heart here. So you could stencil maybe a larger heart and then stamp the smaller heart right in between, or stamp first and then stencil. So lots of different options. And there are dies that match. I presume these two hearts will match this stamped heart image and probably the stencil image as well. It's a little bit smaller than the stencil. Let's see if the clouds match up. Yep. So the stencil cloud will match up with your stenciled, with your cloud die. So you could stencil a cloud and then die cut it. So how awesome is that? And then the die set also includes a sentiment and the backing or the shadow layer for that as well. So it reads "Sending Cheer." So beautiful sentiment. You can use that for any occasion all year round. So this is a pretty awesome kit. I think there are items in here that are usable year round for any occasion. Doesn't have to have anything to do with rainbows. So in particular, you know, the pattern papers, I think this embossing folder is a really nice staple. And then in terms of the actual rainbow elements of it, I think there are some really nice ways of mixing and matching between the stamp, the stencil, and the die set. And in particular, the stamp set really offers a unique take on rainbows that I think will just make your rainbow look really cool and different. So that's one of the reasons why I, wanted to be sure that I got this kit. So I hope that you enjoyed this unboxing, and when I do craft with this kit, I will be sure to link to that video at the end of this one. Thank you so much for joining me, and until my next video, happy crafting and have a fantastic day. Bye!